So again, welcome. To better organize questions the HMIS Help Desk receives during the meeting, our team recommends that you submit your questions through the Q&A button um, that is located on this right-hand side here on the bar. Um, Please keep your questions general and related to the topics discussed in the meeting. If you have agency-specific questions, those are best supported through an HMIS Help Desk ticket. So please submit a ticket with that question, and we'll be happy to investigate further and provide assistance for that request. So for our agenda today, we'll be covering the project performance report schedule and overview, the emergency shelter, street outreach, and homeless prevention PPRs, the quarterly data quality report cards, and we'll review the upcoming LSA and SPM preparations and corrections. Again, all meeting materials and the recording will be available on the OCHMIS website after this meeting. So this is the publishing schedule for the project performance reports. PPRs are published twice a year for each project type. So, for example, Street Outreach is published in August and February, and you can review the reporting periods for each publication. The project performance reports include all projects that participate in HMIS and highlight different measures that HUD and COC have determined are important in effectively ending homelessness for Orange County clients. Project Performance Report Overview document provides detailed information on goals and what goes into each goal, and that can be found on our website under the Reports tab or in this link made available in the slides after this meeting. For this quarter, we're highlighting recently published emergency shelter, street outreach, and homeless prevention project types. So we welcome new agency administrators who are joining us, and because you may not be familiar with the format of the reports, we wanted to review them. So this page shows the goals over time so we can easily compare the current goal scores with previous performance from past reporting periods. So starting at the top, the first gold oval indicates the reporting period. And then moving down is a color code whether the goal met the threshold or did not meet the threshold. In the next oval, at the top of the box are the goals and then the current threshold for that goal. Then further down, you can see the threshold line indicated by this dashed line. And then finally, the other thing we wanted to point out was for goal 10. So while all the other goals include data for the past year, goal 10 is the only one that includes 2 years of data. So we'll start with the emergency shelter PPR. Andrew?
Hey everyone, in this slide, it shows the goals and outcomes for emergency shelter project performance support. This reporting period was taken between May of 2024 and April of 2025. And for this reporting period, our COC met 3 out of 7 thresholds for emergency shelters. We met the threshold for goals 5, 6, and 10, but we did not meet the thresholds for goals 1, 2, 8, and 7. We've seen fairly consistent performance across emergency shelter projects for the past 2 years, and we can see the trends shown in this slide. But in the next few slides, I'm going to be going over a few of the goals in more detail. So the first goal I wanted to cover in a little more detail was goal 8, and this is helping clients exit to successful housing situations. So on the left, we have a breakdown of our emergency shelter score. For the past reporting period, we had a project type score of 19%, which is below our threshold of 30%. And then we also have the sort of different subpopulations also broken down. So chronically homeless individuals, veterans, and different households type as well. And then on the right side, we have a closer look at those successful housing situations. It's a breakdown of what's considered a successful housing exit. And for this goal in particular, we're looking specifically at clients who exited during the reporting period, and we're looking at the field for their exit destination in that exit screen, and we're measuring how many of them exit into a successful housing situation, which is one of these listed on this table on the right. And we also have a project performance overview document that if you're ever, curious about what's considered a successful exit destination or an unsuccessful destination, it's also broken down on that document on the last page. But this is our numbers for this reporting period. And we've seen that in the table on the right, we can see that the most common successful housing situation for emergency shelter exits is rental by client with ongoing housing subsidy. And we can see that the most common destination in general on the left is actually a missing exit destination. And this usually means that the client's no exit interview was completed for the client or the field was not collected. This is something that we, regularly see in emergency shelter projects, which kind of, makes sense. Not every time we can do the exit interview, but those results are actually excluded from the count. And yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say for goal 8. But when we do, data corrections, we definitely want to make sure that we are collecting that information for exit screen as appropriate. And it is the, field that's going to contribute the most to this goal 8 score. The next goal that I wanted to go over was goal 5, which is ensuring projects are being fully utilized or bed utilization. And for this past reporting period, we had a bed utilization score of 88% across our emergency shelter projects in our COC. And we can see also a breakdown based on household type. So we can see fairly similar results for households with children and households without children. But we do see a significantly lower utilization for households with only children. This is mostly up to sample size and the difference in those projects that are dedicated to that particular household type. So as we can see, we also have the N values, which is the number of enrollments used to calculate each household type score. And we can see that households with only children is a very small subpopulation in our COC with only about 134 enrollments in that reporting period. We also have a bar graph that roughly categorizes the different emergency shelter projects we looked at this reporting period. And as we can see, most of them, about 34 ES projects, fall in that 70 to 105% utilization range. But we did see some outliers this reporting period, with 17 recording under 70% utilization and 4 recording over 105%. So scores of, under 70% and above 105% can sometimes be caused by data timeliness issues, such as enrollments not being entered in HMIS. So we definitely encourage AAs to look over that data, particularly if you see that your emergency shelter reported unusually low or high utilization for this reporting period. It's definitely something to consider. We also want to encourage agency admins to submit requests to change bed inventory as needed, because that can also significantly change your utilization numbers and significantly alter what's being reported on these project performance reports. That's all I had for goal 5, so I think we can move on to the next slide. And then the last goal that I want to go over for the emergency shelter PPR was our goal 10 score, which is ensuring clients do not fall back into homelessness after being housed. This is also known as recidivism or returns to homelessness. And for this reporting period, we saw a 6% project type score. And this is a goal that we actually get a lot of questions on. So like Heather mentioned before, this is a unique goal in that it's looking at 2 years of data. But the wording can also be a little confusing for this goal as well. So goal 10 is specifically looking at clients who exited the emergency shelter project, but also exited to a permanently housed situation. We then look at those clients over an extended period of time and see whether or not they return into the HMIS system, um, evidenced by another enrollment after that exit. So as you can see in that little donut chart, it kind of pictures, what's happening to those clients that are exiting to successful housing situations and how they're returning to our system. We can see a lot of them, 43% returned to a street outreach project, 41% returned to an emergency shelter project, and then we saw some of them return to different housing projects. So it's just something that, we want to be mindful of. But as always, when we're talking about data corrections for this goal, it can be a little confusing as to what's the required action for the agency admin. And primarily, we're asking you to review the exit dates and the exit destinations for accuracy, just to make sure that these, outcomes are being properly measured. But that's all I had for the emergency shelter projects. But yeah, feel free to leave in the chat if you have any questions about any of these goals or the emergency shelter PPR.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. And yeah, we just wanted to pause for any questions. As Andrew said, you can feel free to leave your question in the Q&A or feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so we'll go on. The next PPR is street outreach. Hannah?
Hi everyone. I'll be going over the street outreach PPR goals and outcomes, and this is for the reporting period of June 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2025. And in this reporting period, our COC met 3 out of 4 goals, maintaining our performance and also meeting the same set of goals, which are goals 2, 8, and 10 from the last reporting period for street outreach projects. And so goal 1, prioritizing clients experiencing literal homelessness. It's the only one we did not meet for street outreach, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in the next slide, but we did see an increase from 94% to 95%, which I wanted to highlight. And again, for goals 2, 8, and 10, they have all been met. All with pretty steady or improving scores over the past reporting periods. Next slide, please. And so, yeah, I wanted to go over goal 1 for this reporting period, which is prioritizing clients experiencing literal homelessness. And again, this is the last goal in order to meet all 4 goals for street outreach. And as I shared in the previous slide, our score for goal 1 in this reporting period is 95%. And over the past couple of reporting periods, our COC score has either been being maintained or increasing, getting us closer to that threshold of 100%. And I just wanted to share some things that can be reviewed for goal 1, so that we could get closer to meeting that threshold. And just a quick reminder, only persons who are residing on the streets or in places not meant for habitation should be entered into a street outreach project. And so with that, when we look at the enrollments by non-homeless entry category on this chart over here, we can see that there are clients who have been sheltered, um, on street outreach projects, whether it be, from an institutional setting, temporary situation, or a permanent housing situation. So it may be helpful to review prior living situation responses and consider whether a client should be enrolled in a different project type. And we can also see that there are a lot of missing responses. So reviewing and updating those enrollments with accurate and correct data, if possible, will also help with the performance of this goal. And that was all I had for street outreach.
Thank you, Hannah. We'll just pause for questions for street outreach. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or you can enter your question in the Q&A box.
Hi, Heather. This is Melanie McQueen from Path. I had a quick question. I did put it in the chat as well, but could you just clarify what the project type score in the top left is referring to? Is that the overall or the average, or is it something different? Thank you. And apologies if it's a silly question. I'm new to this meeting. Thank you.
Never silly questions, Melanie. Thank you so much for your question. And yes, so this is the score for this particular project type overall. So, and that's one of the reasons why we provide it here. And then there is another document, Melanie, for the project performance reports, and it's for each individual project too. And that is also located on our website if you're interested in reviewing the scores for your projects as well. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Heather.
Sure. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, homelessness prevention, Linda?
So for the homelessness prevention PPR, our COC met a 3 out of 5 thresholds for our homeless prevention projects. These goals are measuring the project performance for all homeless prevention projects in HMIS during the reporting period of July 2024 to the end of June 2025. So based on these charts here, the projects have been consistently meeting some of the same goals as it has for the last reporting period. And this includes goal 6. This is to help adults increase their income while being enrolled into the project. We can see a slight decrease of 2% from the last reporting period of 71%. However, it is still meeting the threshold of greater than or equal to 55%. And then also goal 7, this is to help adults maintain or increase their income as a project exit. So similar to goal 6, but this is going to be for a project exit. So a little bit of an increase there from 66 to 69% this reporting period. Still meeting that threshold of greater than or equal to 50%. And then goal 10, this is to ensure that clients do not fall back into homelessness after being housed. This is meeting the threshold of 10% or less with a score of 2% for all projects. So one of the goals that I wanted to highlight is goal 8. This is to help clients exit into successful housing situations. For the last reporting period, you scored an average of 87 to 80%, barely missing that target of greater than or equal to 90% threshold just by a couple of percentages. However, this reporting period, we performed a little bit better with an average of 83%. So based on this chart right here, it seems like there are a good amount of missing responses for the client exit destination. So we believe that this may be an issue of data entry. So it is very important to collect the client's exit destination at project exit in order to determine whether the client was exited into a successful housing situation. And with that, in return, it would help improve the score for this goal. And then another goal that I wanted to highlight is goal 10, which ensures that clients do not fall back into homelessness after being housed from the project. For this reporting period, only 2% of clients who exited homelessness prevention projects returned to the system, which meets the threshold of 10% or less. This is an improvement from the past reporting period of 3%, which was already meeting the threshold for this goal. Just wanted to highlight this goal because it shows that our COC has been consistently meeting that threshold, showing the effectiveness of our homelessness prevention projects and also our long-term housing stability for our clients. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. We're going to pause for questions. Again, you can feel free to unmute yourself or ask your question in the Q&A box. Okay, we'll continue on. The data quality report cards, Andrew.
Yeah, hey everyone. So for this quarter, we recently, just today actually, published our quarterly data quality report card for Q3 of 2025. And this is a interactive dashboard that shows the different quality of data that we have. So the data completeness and accuracy, which refers to the degree at which all required data is documented in HMIS, and how many of those were considered valid responses, as well as data timeliness, which shows how soon after the data is collected is the data available and entered in HMIS. So for this first part of the dashboard, we have our data completeness and accuracy, and our average data completeness score for this reporting period was 97%, which means that out of all the federally required data elements in HMIS, 97% were considered valid responses. And this is taken out of a sample size of 37,537 enrollments. We've performed fairly consistently in data quality as a COC over the past few years. So this isn't too surprising. But one thing I did want to highlight is the number of enrollments for this reporting period was particularly low. So we did see a dip in overall HMIS enrollments this quarter compared to previous quarters. And in particular, we just saw a lot less program entries this quarter. But we'll continue to see and monitor it, especially as the next quarter we did see a increase in that. So definitely keep you posted with the data quality report cards as we look further into the data. And then this next slide shows the timeliness of the data being entered in HMIS. So as a COC, we generally hold ourselves to a goal of data entry within 3 days of the service occurring or the event happening. So for project entry, we see that 82% of enrollments are entered within the 3-day threshold. And for project exits, we see that 79% of exits are recorded within that 3-day threshold. But we do see a slight difference for services. So we do see that services take a little longer on average to enter in HMIS when compared to entry and exit. So that's something to take into consideration if you are doing data entry for HMIS. We do encourage you to enter it in a timely manner as far as it's reasonable. But we have been performing fairly consistently in data timeliness over the past few reporting periods. So yeah, that's something that is something we're measuring in HMIS and something that we're constantly seeing whether we can make improvements to.
Thank you, Andrew. Just going to pause for questions here, see if anybody has any questions about the data quality from this last quarter or just data quality in general. Yeah, Melanie, go ahead.
Thank you, Heather. Just one question on the data accuracy. If an individual agency wanted to know what their data accuracy score was, where can we find that? Or do we need to reach out to you guys? Thank you.
No, thank you for asking that question. We have a series of reports available in the reports section under the data analysis tab that is all about data quality and data accuracy. Let's see if I can, and I'm going to share my screen real quickly. Forgive me a second while I adjust and get into.
Yeah, and as Heather's getting her screen ready, just wanted to share that I've added the link directly to our data quality report card. As Andrew mentioned, this is an interactive dashboard report, so there will be agency and project filters. So when you're opening up the report, it's going to show our COC overall average, but as mentioned, you can filter to your agency and then specific project just to see where your performance lies within comparing to the overall COC data.
Just a minute. Okay. Can you see my screen here?
Yes, we can see
List of the reports. So, Melanie, I wanted to show you how I got here. I clicked on the launch pad here and I went to reports, and then you can go to the data analysis tab, and then you want to click on the down arrow next to Orange County Clarity System Reports. And we have these are in sections, and so you can scroll down to data quality and you can see where the data accuracy dashboard is. So we've got two types of reports here. There's the dashboard and then there's the details, which show client information. And so you want to click on these and you can review each of the areas. And unfortunately, I just realized I didn't go to the training site, I went to the production site. So I am unable to click on the report for you, but I wanted to show you where it was and let you know that you can run it for your own agency. There will be a filter in there to allow you to put in your agency name, and then you can run it on that and you can see your data accuracy.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Heather.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to jump back over. And just confirming you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see the PowerPoint.
Great. Okay, so lastly, we would like to discuss the upcoming longitudinal system analysis. We call that the LSA, and the system performance measures, the SPMs. These are federal reports that we're required to submit data for. These reports are submitted at approximately the same time, so we wanted to discuss them at the same time to avoid a little bit of confusion. And Elizabeth's going to go over the timeline.
Thank you, Heather. Good afternoon, everyone. As Heather mentioned, both the LSA and SMP reporting overlaps each other, and both corrections from both reports roll into each other. So we wanted to support our community and review all the LSA and SMP data together. So for LSA, each HDX did open earlier this week, and our HMS team was able to have a successful initial LSA upload. That means that we were able to upload our report and receive error and warning flags that our COC needs to review and address. So error is data that is impossible, so those need to be resolved and cleared, and a new upload needs to be entered to resolve those errors. Warning means that the data could be possible, but not likely. So we need to review the data and provide an explanation if the data is accurate. So our team will be preparing the LSA forms. So you'll see the timeline November 13 to 25. We understand it's a very tight timeline, so we want to thank everyone in advance for your support through this reporting period. We're going to be sending out the form that lists the flags that highlighted some of your agency data, and we'll be working with you to review the data and resolve. So in the form, it's going to include a warning flag or an error flag and what that error is indicating, and we'll provide next steps on how you can review and make corrections to your data or provide an explanation of the data that we see in the reporting period of October 2024 to September 2025. And then the second round would be December 2nd to the 12th. For any pending flags, we're going to be working with your agency to continue a deeper dive to work on clearing those warning and errors. And on December 22nd through 31st is our last round. We're hoping that there's not too many errors to clean up there, because you'll see that we do have a short turnaround with January 5th is when we're going to be preparing for submission. So again, thank you in advance for all of your guys' support. In the next couple slides, we're going to explain what the LSA form looks like, and we'll also share a demo. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So as Elizabeth mentioned, we are going to be sending out a Cognito review form for your flags in the LSA. And we're doing this a little bit differently this year. If you've done this process with us before, we hope that this newer process with the form is going to make the corrections a little bit easier. So these flags or our errors are on length of stay, unit utilization, and project descriptors. And so we wanted to review the form in its entirety so you can understand what you'll be receiving. So your agency information, this is the form on the right, and your agency information will already be filled in. Your area to review is this LSA data review. And so the first thing you want to look at is the LSA flag category. And this is a type of flag it is. And so this is just kind of the general overall, this is what it's referring to. And then you want to look at the flag description. And this will give a nice description about what exactly the flag is and a little more context around the error. And then the next steps would be your action items. So this will include reviewing the enrollments to verify all clients have been enrolled and that the data is accurate. And then based upon the flag, you're going to review your project's bed inventory or project descriptor information. And in continuing with the next steps, information in here will be provided on how to resolve the flag, maybe some questions to ask, and some reports that you can run in order to confirm the information. And then we have additional resources for help. In number 4 here, this question is answered by us. The question is that, did your agency receive the error or warning flag in previous LSA reporting, meaning last year's LSA? If it did, then the explanation that was provided last year is entered here. And so you can review last year's explanation. And then in section 5, if that explanation is still true to the project's operation, then you can indicate yes, and you can go on to the next part of the form. If no, then you will be provided a text box to enter a new explanation. 6 is a place for additional comments to our team. And then when you're ready to submit, you'll click on this box. Yes, you're the assigned agency admin, and you verify that the information is accurate. You'll put your name, and then you will click submit. If you're not ready to submit, if for whatever reason you haven't provided all the information, you can save the form to complete it later. And you'll do that by going over to save. And then when you click save, a pop-up box will appear that'll ask for your email address to give you a link back to this form. So next we're going to have a form demo. Elizabeth? Let me stop sharing.
Thank you, Heather. And if everyone could just give me a second. Confirm that you see the form.
Yes.
Thank you for confirming. So this is just a draft task example of our LSA form. As Heather mentioned, our HMS team will be filling out most of the information for your agency. We will link some resources that you can review and have review for additional contacts. Each round will be updating the due date just so that you're aware of when corrections and submissions are due. If you finish all your corrections and explanation the first round, then you may not have any follow-up in the second round. So just a quick note that there may be follow-up, but if it's all resolved in the first round, you won't have any additional corrections for the second round. As Heather mentioned, you're going to be reviewing the LSA data review section. Our team will be selecting on our back end the flag category. Based on the flag category, the additional steps will be populated to provide additional guidance for those. The flag description is a direct copy of the LSA flag. So we'll include that information in for your agency to review. And then we're going to provide guidance on next steps. So we're going to let you know what this flag indicates, as well as some reports that you can run to help review your agency data. And from there, for this one, this example is utilization. So there could be some errors with either enrollment or there has been changes to bed inventory. And we do have a section further down here for you to provide us updated bed inventory if you review your data and realize there has been a change, there were fluctuation with bed inventory, and you want to let us know the updated information. As Heather mentioned, if your agency had this flag in a previous LSA, we're going to plug in yes and provide that information here of the explanation. You're going to review and see if that is still true to your operation. You can put yes, and that would you would not see a box that required an updated explanation because we would be able to use this for this current LSA. But if there was a change, you would select no and let us know the change, or if you would like to make an edit to the explanation as well. And as Heather mentioned, there is a save button. So when you click the save button, a new pop-up window will pop up and you'll be able to enter in your email and save the form. When you're ready to submit, you'll be able to click the yes button and just verify everything that you submitted in the form is accurate and true to your agency's operation, and you can enter in your name and click submit. Just want to pause in case there's any questions regarding this form.
I have a question for the group for feedback. Would this is not something that we've discussed with the team yet, so we have to talk through the specifics, but would it be helpful to know the person from your agency that submitted the note last year?
And to clarify, it would be if you would like us to include possibly the point of contact, the AA that provided that note previously.
Is that the question, Elizabeth?
Yes, Erin, feel free to add any additional notes if I've missed anything, but I believe your question for our community feedback is if they would like for us to also include who shared that explanation in case they need to refer back and meet internally with their team.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, for example, Carmen, if someone else from your team submitted that note for Mercy House last year, they may or may not be
Yes.
the person that's receiving it this year. So would it be helpful to know who that was so you could go back and talk with them?
Yes, because I don't think I've ever done the LSA for projects. I've only drilled down to the data part. So my guess is that Allison's been doing these previously.
And then we also had a comment from Rosa to say, yes, please include that information. Share back the slides. So just wanted to let our agency admin know that we will be setting out the forms starting today, and our HMS team is available to schedule time with your agency if you would like to do a deeper dive of the LSA and SMP corrections. A couple weeks ago, we did send out some data for your agency to review, but we will be reaching out to provide additional support. So please feel free to let us know if you have any availabilities in the upcoming weeks to schedule some time. If you have staff that support with data corrections or data quality, please feel free to include them in the meeting so we can have a discussion with your team.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Oh, did you want to add some more? Sorry.
Oh, no, I just saw a question come in. Is the data accuracy dashboard the best report to run to catch LSA needed corrections? And thank you so much for that question. In September, we went over a few reports that would be helpful to review for LSA and SMP, and we have that recording on our website. I'll go ahead and add that into the chat, but we'll also include it in our wrap-up. Wanted to note that in our LSA form, each flag, we're actually also including reports that will be helpful to run. Heather, if you can go back to that slide that has the example of the next steps. So I've added the our recorded training. If you scroll down to the office hour section, there is our September 2025 LSA and SMP meeting. We have a recording and PowerPoint from there, and with our form, Heather, if I can share my screen. As mentioned, each flag we're going to include reports to run and some guidance. So for this report, we suggest the program roster so you can look at enrollments that were active in that reporting period. Also, the agency setup review dashboard to ensure that your bed inventory is reflecting your current operations, and possibly running the unit utilization report to see where your utilizations sit currently, as well as linking the data standard for bed inventory and unit inventory information just to make sure that your data reflects your agency's operations. And the other link I share was actually our SMP and to this page, and you can review our September office hours where we went over LSA and SMP, common errors and guidance on how to make those corrections. So thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, we're going to pause if anybody has any additional questions. And please feel free to unmute yourself or enter your question in the Q&A box. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, so thank you very much for joining us today. If you do think of some questions, you are free to submit a ticket to the help desk, or if you had a question about the LSA form and information we'll be sending out tickets, and you can respond in that ticket. But anyway, again, thank you very much, and have a great day today.